Hi, good morning. This is Miss Cater's 8th grade science class, and we are going to do our daily quiz for April the 23rd. Today we're going to talk about power, just looking at some of your Educanon quizzes. I've noticed this question. One, it was written incorrectly, and two, so that means most people got it wrong. So we're going to go through this type of question and determine power and the cost of power. In a circuit with an initial voltage of 120 volts and a resistance of 300 ohms, determine the amount of current running through the circuit. And then we're going to determine the amount of power required to run the circuit in kilowatts. We're going to determine the amount of energy that's used in kilowatt hours if the circuit runs for 10 hours. And then what's the cost of operating that circuit for 10 hours if the energy costs are $1.50 per kilowatt hour. Okay, so first we're going to use Ohm's law. So in this portion of the problem right here, this is going to be Ohm's law, which we know is V equals IR. Okay, so we have 120 volts. We have I as our current and 300 ohms is our resistance. So our I is going to be 120 divided by 300. And 120 divided by 300 comes out to be 120 divided by 300 is 0.4 amps. Okay. Next, we have to determine the power. So right here in this portion, we're going to use the power equation. P for power equals our voltage times our current. So that's going to be 120 volts times 0.4 amps. And 120 times 0.4 is 48 watts. But then we need to change that to kilowatts. 1 kilowatt is 1,000 watts. So 48 times 1,000, or I'm sorry, 48 divided by 1,000 is 0.48 kilowatts. Okay. Lastly, determine the amount of energy used in kilowatt hours if the circuit runs for 10 hours. So in this section of the problem, we're going to take our power, our kilowatts, and multiply it by time. So 0.48 kilowatts times 10 hours is going to equal 4.8 kilowatt hours. And then to determine the cost of that, that's the energy for 10 hours. So to determine the cost, we're going to take $1.50 per kilowatt hour, multiply it by our 4.8 kilowatt hours, and that's going to give us $1.50 times 4.8, $7.20. Okay, that's it. There'll be a question at the end similar to this one, and you just need to answer that question and we'll be done for today.